Hi, this is the Haval H6 Hybrid. You're probably wondering what the heck a Haval is. Well, it's the SUV sub-brand of the automaker Great Wall Motors, or GWM. No prizes for guessing what country they come from. Anyway, this is the third generation H6. It's been on sale here in Macedonia for a little while, and this is the hybrid version, which is new to the Macedonian market, new-ish. And this is a very interesting vehicle. Let's talk about why that is. Now, Haval here is a much more interesting Chinese car brand than the others I usually deal with. That's because Haval has been available in Macedonia for 16 years, since 2009. And as a result, they're very much ingrained into traffic and, they're pretty well known here. So, styling. Well, the Haval H6 Hybrid actually gets some pretty unique styling compared to the regular H6, which is immediately obvious when you look at the front grille. The front grille is unique to the H6. It appears to have a bigger opening, but in fact it's just a slightly different design. With its body colored segments on the side, it's kind of reminding me of the second generation Peugeot 3008, which I've already reviewed. Not that that's a bad thing, of course. And you can see that the Haval logo, which is just a word mark, has a blue background behind it, indicating that this is a hybrid. By the way, speaking of blue, let's talk about the color of this car, which I think is lovely. You probably think it's called blue or something similar to blue. No, according to the spec sheet for this car, Great Wall Motors refers to this as green. Now, I don't know about you, but I haven't seen many colors like this be called green before, but okay. So you got some LED headlights. You can see that the daytime running lights are on because the car is running right now. You can see the front fog lights there in the corner and that big old radar in the middle for the adaptive cruise control and the like. So let's move it along to the side profile. This location kind of sucks for filming the side profile, I'm just realizing, but aside from that, here's the side profile of the H6. I have a way with words, in case you didn't know, mostly due to a lack of sleep. Anyway, most notable things on the side profile include that little black trim that looks like a Stingray photographed from the side. That's unique to the H6 Hybrid. And you can also see the wheels, which are black. I point this out because in the regular H6, they are a gunmetal grayish color, but the black wheels are available on the H6. It's the same wheel design, it's just the color that's different. And from the side, you can clearly see that it's a pretty standard modern SUV. And from the back, you can see that it has a big rear light bar and the Haval brand name spelled out across the tailgate. Interesting story, when I first saw this car in the wild, it was quite far away, and I thought it was a Lexus. No joke, but no, it's a Haval H6. There's an H6 HEV badge on the left, and there's the GWM badge on the right of the tailgate. And the light bar is actually really interesting because the facelift H6 that's supposed to arrive in Europe next year, that one gets rid of the light bar and just has normal taillights. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Usually they have regular taillights, then they upgrade to light bars, but not the other way around. A little bit odd. You can also see the split third brake light. It's like two sort of spotlights being split in the middle by the roof spoiler thing. Very interesting rear brake light design. I don't think I've ever seen that before. And also a little diffuser thingy in the bumper. So what do I think of the styling of the H6? I think it's a pretty good looking SUV. It doesn't do anything too crazy to stand out, but that's no bad thing, obviously. It just looks good. It looks modern, well put together. It's pretty boxy relative to modern SUV styling standards anyway. And it's a very solid looking SUV. So good job to Great Wall Motors for this design. And if you get this car in another color that's not this one, the so-called green, you're making a huge mistake. But enough about my bias towards interesting colors. Let's move on to the practicality. Let's check out the cargo area first. Here is the key fob. It's a pretty standard looking key fob. I know the Chinese love to mess around with this sort of thing, but this is pretty standard stuff. There's what appears to be a panic button is in fact the find vehicle function. It beeps and flashes the lights at you. There's the lock button, there's the tailgate release, and the unlock button. Tailgate release you don't hold down. I tried holding it down and I thought it was broken, but you have to press it twice. It's just, it doesn't tell you that for some reason. Anyway, double tap the tailgate release and boom, automatic tailgate reveals the cargo area. So anyway, here's the massive 600-liter cargo area. It's very big and very usable due to the shape of the car. There's a little bit of, well, I was going to say underfloor storage, but actually it's a bunch of tool-related items. You have these divots here for storing random things that you might want to store. There's a 12-volt outlet there, and another one, what appears to be another one on the other side. Let's see. Oh no, that's just some plastic piece of trim. And this cargo cover, which slides into place like so, and then folds away. And you can remove it by undoing those catches over there. Have you noticed the problem yet? No way to fold the rear seats down from the cargo area. Kind of a puzzling decision because this is not exactly a small car. Usually vehicles in this class have a small handle here or a switch, if you're lucky, to fold the rear seats down, but not here. Although from what I can see, these seats will create a completely flat cargo area once folded, and there's no lip here, which will make lifting heavy things out pretty easy. With the rear seats folded, you get this much space. And once you're done, you press this fairly standard tailgate release button, and, well, it closes, obviously. As for the rear seats, well, there's a shit ton of room in here. I am 5'11.5" or 1.8 meters tall and a Discord moderator in width. Blah, 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 you get the point. This front seat is, of course, in my driving position, and look at that. A lot of knee room and a lot of headroom as well, even though this model has the panoramic sunroof. A really good use of space. I mean, obviously, this is a big SUV. You kind of expect this sort of thing, but very comfy and very spacious. I wish the seats would recline a little bit. I haven't found a way to do so if they can do that, but regardless, you have some door storage here and a little speaker that reminds me of speakers in really expensive European luxury cars. Window switch, heavily tinted rear windows. A good job this car has the sunroof to brighten things up. And this door handle finished in copper. We'll touch on that in a second. White leather, or something that looks like white leather, but is in fact soft touch plastic, and a padded armrest there. Anyway, yes, I got a haircut. There you go, plenty of headroom. Sorry about the breakouts on my face. The Haval H6 obviously has, let's get this out of the way, it has keyless entry. So you tap that little square on the door handle, locks the doors, folds in the mirrors, grab the door handle, and it unlocks. And continuously flashes the turn signals when you grab it. I don't know what the deal is with that. But anyway, interior. Look at all these copper accents. They're all over the dash, they're all over the steering wheel. The door handle in the front has them as well. And this particular interior actually is gray and white. There are several different colors, including black and tan and red accents and different things like that. But this one has the gray and white interior with those copper accents. Anyway, let's get in the car and turn the AC on before my cameraman kills me. And now we are inside the H6. Again, no starter motor because it's a hybrid, doesn't need one. Let's see if we can rev it. No, it won't let me rev it. That's a shame. First thing that greets you when you get in the Haval H6 is this bizarre steering wheel. I don't recall ever seeing a shape like this, and it's difficult to point this out on video, but the way the steering wheel is kind of shaped and concave, it sort of comes out towards you like this. It's kind of like driving an old Buick. Not in a bad way, of course. I love old Buicks, and I'm now just noticing through the camera, it looks like a weird sloth showing me his tongue. You don't get this on professional car review channels. On this side, you have different media controls. That's voice commands and volume control. Previous, next track here in the silver. That M means mode for the stereo. Answer and call, mute the stereo. On the other side, you have a home button, a star button. You can probably guess what that does, but we'll get to that. Previous and next for that part of the gauge cluster screen, and this applies to that as well. Tiny little Haval word mark in the center. And in here you have the horn, which is straight off a 90s Toyota. The hybrid version of the Haval H6 uses a very interesting transmission, and it's not something that I've encountered before. This is what's called a dedicated hybrid transmission. or DHT for short. It has 2 speeds, and from what I was able to make sense of on the internet, this is designed to ensure the electric motor and the engine are functioning at peak efficiency or peak power, depending on the situation. Though the transmission is still controlled through this turn dial in the center, which I don't really like these things because for obvious reasons. But this one is especially interesting. I've never seen this before. So you know how in cars with turn dial shifters like this, you switch over to drive and it stops. It just lets you switch into drive, then goes back in the middle. Not here. I'm going to switch into drive. There you go. But I can keep spinning it. Same goes for the other directions. I go into reverse and I can just keep spinning it indefinitely. I've never seen this before. Obviously, you push that P on the top, the big P on the top, big P, to put the car in park. And when you go into reverse, it brings up the excellent 360-degree camera system. My goodness, this thing is fantastic. I'll touch on that in a second. Stop beeping, please. Thank you. Parking brake, auto hold, that kind of thing. Infotainment system. I believe this is 10 inches because it's smaller than the systems I usually deal with. It looks like a 10-inch system by the aspect ratio. And, well, get used to it because almost every function is in here. On the home screen here, you have your AC controls off to the side. You have the fan speed that I'm adjusting for you right now. This is obviously your media. If you have something playing through Bluetooth or Apple CarPlay, it'll show up here. And your radio frequency, yes. You can tap either this top part here or this to go into the climate control settings. Thank you. And you have all your options here, including an air filtration system. Always happy to see those when they put those in cars. Your different zones and other things like that. This little car icon is obviously all your vehicle settings. There's thousands of things in here. I'm not going to get into everything right now. I would just like to talk about the Chinese's choice of acronyms. So AVM, I believe, is to do with the 360-degree camera systems. But for all I know, it could mean audio-visual masterpiece. It's the same letters, isn't it? So, yeah, not sure what's up with that, but I really like this infotainment system. Because it doesn't mess around with animations too much, it's very snappy and very quick to respond to everything. And I like the graphics. They're very slick. I like the little neon thing they got going on, and this font is lovely. This is my bias towards expanded font speaking here, but still, it looks nice. This is your seat controls. You have heated and ventilated seats in this car. Lovely in this f***ing horrible summer weather. It's the middle of July when I'm filming this, and it's awful. That's why we're in the shade. You can, you know, mess around with that. I like to do this thingy to turn them on, but you can just tap and tap again to mess around with that. One thing I do want to point out in here in the new energy settings is this. Yes, this car has one-pedal driving. Despite being a regular self-charging hybrid, it will one-pedal drive. And I tried the system yesterday, and it works surprisingly well. Moving on, this is your media. If you have stuff built into, if you've downloaded something into the system, I'm just noticing that, through a USB flash drive. Yeah, we'll get onto that. You can play stuff from the USB flash drive, like those Pioneer stereos you might install in your car. Bluetooth audio, iPod. Yeah, guys, that product does not exist anymore, so I don't know what the deal is. USB video, if you have a movie on a flash drive, I suppose you can watch that as long as you're parked, and of course, Apple CarPlay. No Android Auto, by the way. Or at least I haven't found an option for Android Auto. Either it doesn't have it at all, or you might need to get some type of app on your phone to get it to work. This little app drawer icon is indeed your app drawer. Here's Apple CarPlay, grayed out because no phone is plugged into the car. By the way, yes, cable only, unfortunately. Radio, multimedia, Bluetooth phone, system settings, vehicle settings, which is also here. And picture, which is, well, there's nothing in the car right now, but I'm assuming you can upload pictures and set them as the background of the system. And then the home button. When you're on the home screen, if you're plugged in through Apple CarPlay, it'll show up right there. Over here, you have some physical shortcut buttons. There's turning climate control on or off. Obviously, air conditioning, front defrost. There's also a heated windshield, by the way. Hazards, rear defrost, parking sensors and cameras, and powering on or off the infotainment system. Wireless charger for your phone, always useful. Cup holders. which are hiding my action camera there. Interestingly, they don't necessarily have to be cup holders. They can just be a storage area, but you can deploy, if I can remember how to do it, the dividers, and they become cup holders. Useful. And that's about it for the center control stack. Again, pretty much everything else is in here. You kind of have to use the infotainment system. The system itself is snappy, but I can't make an exception like I usually do here. I would like a little bit more physical controls in here. Oh yeah, and the climate vents, which sadly open and close by moving them in one direction. Anyway, I'm going to catch a breath and then we can move on to what's in front of the driver. This is the driver information screen. Again, it's not particularly big, but it does contain everything you might need to see. It's complaining that I'm not buckled in right now, but I really like this screen. I love the graphics. That is the Earth that is rotating around as we speak, and the engine just came on. There we go. In the middle, obviously, is your lane keep assist ADAS system stuff. Thank you. And on this side, you can configure what's shown using this array of buttons and switches over here. So right now, this is your average and instant fuel consumption, again, abbreviated as AIF and IF. Only consumption A, though. They won't show me consumption B. All right, you press OK. Okay, that makes sense. Pressing the down arrow, there's your range, there's your tire pressures, the RPM gauge if you need it. Yes, thank you. The efficiency graph, so I'm assuming you know how this works, but if you floor the car, it goes into accelerate. If you brake, it goes into brake, and if you keep it steady, it's in eco. That's what the hybrid system is doing at any given moment. Trip A, and you're back to this. I don't know if you can change what's shown on this side, because I haven't found a way to do it, but it does show you pertinent information like your speed, the traffic sign recognition system, the power gauge, which indicates if you're flooring it or using regen braking, or indeed braking to charge the battery. There's your coolant temperature. There's your overall odometer, ready. Hybrid and electric vehicles always have that. Your gear, that's, I believe, the status of the cruise control. The drive mode, yes, there's 4 of those. We'll touch upon that right now. And the fuel gauge, and warning lights here and there. That's it. Very simple, very easy to read, and very easy to understand. Drive modes, normal, sport, snow, and eco. Standard stuff, really. Snow, interesting that it has a snow mode because it's front-wheel drive, but you do have that in case you need to go somewhere where it's snowy. And adjustable electric power steering. More on that in the driving section, though. Here's the turn signal stock. Pretty standard. It feels nice and damped. That's your headlights, of course. Fog lights and high beams in both directions. And your wiper controls. And both of them are completely obscured by the steering wheel when you're driving. Not good. And down here you have the stock for the cruise control. It is adaptive cruise control as evidenced by the distance switch. Down here you have tailgate release, headlight leveling, disabling or enabling stability control, and hill descent control. Always nice to have on an SUV. And your very easily accessible windows, mirrors, child locks for the windows, and power locks for the doors. And also, a la Volvo, you press both power mirror buttons to fold them in or out. Genius. Time to end this off as we normally do with interior quality and storage. Well, the interior quality in here is actually pretty excellent. There's lots of soft touch plastics about the place. This stuff is a bit odd, so this is hard plastic. This is hard plastic, but as you move into the passenger side, it becomes soft padded stuff. I don't know what's up with that, but you got some soft touch here covering most of the dash. That over there is hard plastic. You don't really expect much else there. You're not going to touch that while you're driving. A lot of piano black, though. Here especially, a lot of piano black. It gets really dirty really easily. And some type of matte finish material here would be nice. But everything is well made. It feels good. The steering wheel is nice, and it's very thin in some strange way, but it's pretty secure and nice to hold. All the switches and buttons feel like some work was put into them, and everything feels like it's built to a good standard. So good on Haval for that. And now we can move along to storage. Big door pocket, can obviously fit a large bottle, judging by the fact that it's clearly marked as being able to fit a large bottle. There's an open storage area here. Always get excited when I see that. The wireless charger that you saw, the cup holders that you also saw, and this big-ass center storage area. I have some stuff in there, but really big, really deep storage area. And also, of course, the glove box, which is a decent size. Overall, the interior of the Haval H6, great place to be. Hello. It's 1 a.m. I have to return this car tomorrow, but I remembered that I wasn't done talking about some of the things in the interior. Let me turn the light on for you so you can see. There we go. First things first is this ambient lighting. Has a little pattern there projecting onto the dash, as you can see. It only glows red, though. I haven't found a way to change the color. I looked through every option in the infotainment system here. Can't find anything at all. No idea. I didn't show you the dome lights. Here they are. They look like little prisms. Very pleasing sort of shape there. There's a sunglasses holder, which I absolutely love. There's my spare pair of sunglasses. And your sunroof controls. That's the sunshade, and that's opening and closing. And you have this button to enable or disable if the dome lights come on when you open the doors. And 2 blank switches, unfortunately. Here's a sun visor with an illuminated mirror. That's always nice. Sorry about the shoddy audio, by the way, but my mics are not connected right now. 2 other things I wanted to mention. Well, one other thing is down here. That's where the USB port is, and this is the only USB port in the front that allows you to connect to Apple CarPlay. And as you might be able to tell if you zoom in on the cable, a good idea filming this at 1 a.m., dude. It's a USB-A port, and in fact all of the USB ports inside the Haval H6 are USB-A, which is kind of unfortunate. And it also means that charging speeds for your phone are going to be rather slow. There's another USB port on that side, and also a 12-volt outlet in case you need an extra something, and some big-ass underfloor storage down there as well. Oh yeah, one last thing, the context menu, or rather this whole area. So you swipe down on the home page of the infotainment screen. Let me show you that again real quick. There you go. And you have access to a bunch of shortcuts. So there's Bluetooth, turning off the display, Todd. I don't know anybody named Todd myself. I don't know what that means either. Notifications, programming, the asterisk button on the steering wheel. I set that to the steering wheel heating because that makes the most sense. Driver and passenger seat heating, extra seat controls. That's where you enable your ventilated seats as well. Heated steering wheel, heated front windshield, the wireless charger for your phone, you can toggle that, heads-up display, options, automatic parking, no idea what reversing follow is, lane assist, and DST, which I believe is traction control. And the only volume control in the car that isn't obviously the one on the steering wheel. Yes, there's no physical dial or slider to adjust the volume control. You have to use this, which I would say is stupid, but think about it. The driver has volume control on the steering wheel. The only person that's going to turn up the volume from here is going to be the passenger, and they're not driving, so they can't be distracted by anything. Anyway, addendum done. Let's go back to whatever else we were talking about previously. This is the H6 hybrid, as I said before, which means under here is a 1.5-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine with direct injection, making about 150 horsepower. That then is paired up with an electric motor, making a peak output of 177 horsepower, and they're all the electric motor is juiced by a 1.8 kilowatt-hour battery pack, and they both work in tandem, creating a power split hybrid system. So it's a little bit different than the standard industry hybrid systems like on Toyota or Honda, let's say. This is a power split hybrid system, which again allows both parts of the powertrain to function as separate and to optimize efficiency and performance. The total output is 243 horsepower and an almost ridiculous 530 newton meters of torque. That's the kind of thing Ferraris were putting out not too long ago, I should say. And a teeny tiny fuel consumption figure relative to what this vehicle is. And obviously the power goes to the front wheels through that aforementioned 2-speed dedicated hybrid transmission. This is a very interesting powertrain, people. Let's see what it's like. Let's take the H6 out on a drive. But before we go, all of you fans of welding watching this video, you gotta see this. Look at those welds. So let's begin with town driving. Being that the H6 Hybrid is, well, a hybrid, in town most of your driving is going to be done in EV mode. The engine only kicks in when it needs to. Especially in eco mode, the car tries to use the electric motor as much as it possibly can. And indeed, if you stabilize the throttle once you get moving, the engine cuts out, and most of the time it runs in EV mode. This leads, among other things, to excellent fuel economy. The H6 Hybrid average, the lowest figure I got was 4.8 liters per 100 kilometers of driving, but generally in town it's going to be around 5, which is really damn impressive for a big hybrid SUV. This is not a small vehicle and it's not a light vehicle either. When the engine kicks in, you can barely notice. There's no like shake from the car, like it's dropping a gear or whatever. It just kicks in. The only thing you hear is a little bit of engine vibration. The rev characteristics are interesting because it's a DHT transmission. It is similar to a CVT, but not quite the same, and I prefer the way the DHT behaves in this sort of situation. Also, nothing but praise for the 360-degree camera system. It's one of the very best I've ever used. From the execution to the resolution of the cameras, I believe this car has a self-park feature as well, but I never got to try it. What about the highway? I don't have much to say here, actually. It's very capable, considering you have a lot of power on hand. There's no problem getting up to speed. It pulls very well in every mode, especially in sport mode, of course. And other than the tiny amount of wind noise, there's nothing to complain about when it comes to the highway. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, this is a very comfy car despite having pretty big wheels. And as for the dynamic driving, well, it's not gonna set the world on fire. The H6 Hybrid is a perfectly capable SUV when the cornery stuff begins to happen. It's stable, there's little to no body roll in the corners relative to what this is, and the powertrain is responsive, and you also have the ability to adjust the steering weight because of it has electric power steering. Although I found the firm setting or the sport setting to be, well, unnecessarily firm, so I just stuck with whatever the car decided was best at that moment. So overall, this was a pretty excellent experience. The Haval H6 Hybrid gets a score of 8.5 out of 10. Thank you everyone for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to hit like and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to follow me on Blue Sky. I will have a link in the description to that, and follow along with the community tab for upcoming videos and stuff. And I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.